I filmed this whole thing and it didn't save. Hello, how are you? How are you doing? How's everything? I hope everything is fine. The year's catching up on me. It's not over yet, but so far I've read 83, technically not 83 actually. So far I've read almost 85 books, but there are some books that are just not on Goodreads, so I wasn't able to place them on Goodreads because they're not on fucking Goodreads. So it just says 83, and I'm salty. I'm salty. I'm bitter and salty. I'm bitter and salty about it. Okay, I'm bitter and I'm salty. I don't like it because I didn't read 83. I read more than 83. I read like 87 or something. I want to share the best books of the year so far, not based on feelings really, just the books that I've read at 5 stars so far, which I have a bunch. Let's just go through the rereads because I did reread you are filming, right? I reread a lot. I'm so paranoid. I reread a lot of stuff, and I'm just gonna go through them rapidly because you most likely have heard me tell you what I think about them. So I reread The Bell Jar twice this year. I can explain. Once was for me. I started the year with it. I absolutely love The Bell Jar, and twice was for someone contacted me on TikTok and said, "Hello, bitch, explain The Bell Jar, I'm confused." And I said, how about I read it with you? Because I'm like a good Samaritan. And she said yes, so we ended up doing a buddy read, and so I reread The Bell Jar. I also reread Home for the Bewildered by Michelle Tobin, 5 stars. Obviously, I absolutely love this book. This is set in the 70s in and off a psych ward. This was one of my favorite books, honestly, when I read it, and it still is. I really like it. I love it, actually. I will link the interview that I've done with the author when we talk about the book and anything and everything mental health right here somewhere. I also reread Animal Farm. This was part of a buddy read. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I love Animal Farm. It's definitely one of the books. This and another reread that was Fahrenheit 451. These are the kind of books that I would recommend to absolutely anyone and everyone, especially to the ones that say, I'm not really into reading, but I would like to start. I would like to be into reading. They're both well known. I don't even have to tell you what they're about, but just in case, this follows Guy Montag, who works in an alternate universe as a fireman, but in this universe the firemen actually start fires, and specifically they burn bugs. It was part of a buddy read, and I enjoyed watching my buddy's head explode, basically. My buddy's cranium busting a nut over the book and the books that we've been picking for the buddy reads. Then I've done 2 T.S. Eliot's, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock and Portrait of a Lady. I want to show you my Alfred Prufrock. It's an absolute mess. It is an absolute mess. It is filled with notes and annotations. They are both long-ish poems. The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. We are following basically an aging fellow, you know, and the desolation of life, the desolation of entropy, the entropy of life. I loved it so much. I enjoyed analyzing it. I enjoyed talking about it. And if you've read it, please let me know what you think of it. Then I did Portrait of a Lady, which obviously I read it 5-star. Portrait of a Lady is kind of a garrulous quarrel of 2 souls that I enjoyed vehemently. I absolutely loved it. Same thing, mine is absolutely filled with notes and all kinds of annotations and stuff like that. Then I've reread 2 poes. I did The Raven and The Telltale Heart. The Raven was part of a buddy read. The Telltale Heart is my favorite poe. It's one of my favorite short stories and my actual favorite poe ever. So reading it is always a pleasure. I've read some Poe-oriented-ish books this year, so I just wanted to go back to the source, basically, just to refresh my memory. Another reread, I read The Trees Grew Because I Bled There by Eric LaRocha. Eric LaRocha has been, like, I've been obsessed with his writing, his way of writing. It's so gory, but not gory as in just bloody. It's like gory and bloody in a poetic way. It's not just an infusion of blood, like a sharp term. It's not like that. It's just poetically gory, in my opinion. It's cannibalistic, and it's vehement in its gore, if that makes any sense. It's proud of its cannibalistic nature. I don't know if that makes sense or not, really, but to me, that's how it feels. It just feels raw, and I love it so much. I love his way of writing. I've been absolutely obsessed with him since I read the lesbian book. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke. Yeah, since that day, I think the wrong book got hyped, honestly. So if you liked Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, try more of his work. Honestly, it's so freaking good. If you're into these kinds of, freaky kind of stories, try his books. Okay, I did a bunch of Shirley Jackson. The first one that I did and rated 5 stars is The Tooth. This was a nightmare. She is a delirium queen. This is psychedelic fiction or delirious fiction, and it's a masterclass in delirious fiction, in my opinion. The Tooth basically follows a lady and her husband, and he's sending her off for her to go and get a tooth pulled or worked on, basically. And the trip of her going from point A to the dentist is insane, and it kept getting more and more nightmarish, and it felt absolutely suffocating. I don't know how else to explain it, apart from saying it's absolutely suffocating. I loved it. Then I reread The Lottery and Renegade. The Lottery is a book that I plan on making a video essay on, so please stay tuned for that, and I hope you like it. The Renegade, 5 stars. These are all 5 stars, obviously, but The Renegade was so freaking cool, and I could analyze it forever and ever and ever, and I just wanted to read it to people and to tell people about it and to talk about it. I wanted to, that a book is good when you're not really that interested in going out with people and stuff like that, and then you read a book and you actually want to go on dates and go out with your friends and stuff like that, just so you can talk about a book. And that's how it felt when I read Renegade. We start with a family, specifically a woman of the family, when her dog attacks a chicken, right? And then she goes from one errand to another, one household, one neighbor to another, and we hear more and more about how her dog attacked this chicken, and about how the news is traveling of her dog attacking this chicken. And every one of the neighbors, or everyone that works in the neighborhood, the stores and stuff like that, while she's running her errands, has plans to take care of the dog, and how those plans get worse and worse. How this kind of poison in a society travels all the way back to get back to her home, because at the end of the story, if you're not familiar, at the end of the story that I'm not gonna spoil, at the end of the story, that poison gets to her home in a way that is just heart-wrenching, in my opinion. I also reread A Little Life by Hana Nagihara. If you don't know, A Little Life is my ultimate favorite book, so obvious 5 stars. And then I did some Borges. I've read The Book of Sand and reread The Aleph by Jorge Luis Borges. I've read a bunch of his books this year and reread a bunch of his books this year for a video, so again, stay tuned. But these 2 are 5 stars, so that should tell you something. And if you want to know more about my reading process and stuff like that, you can find my Goodreads in the description, where you see all the books that I'm reading and the reviews that I write on there. Or you can follow my TikTok, where I share my reading process, like deeply, like in-depth reading process and early reviews and stuff like that. The last 2 that I rated 5 stars is Macbeth. I reread and listened to Macbeth. If you've been here since I've made my Shakespeare Franken book situation, hi, thank you so much. I don't know if people are familiar with this or not, but if you've been here since I made this, it's still holding on. It's strong and sturdy, and so far nothing wrong has happened to it. But I reread Macbeth and re-listened to Macbeth. I love Macbeth, I love Shakespeare, so it's always fun, really. The last 5-star that I gave this year so far is this, مثل إيكاروس by Dr. Ahmed Khalid Tawfiq. Unfortunately, this has not been translated into English, and it needs to be translated into English. Please, I want people to read it. This translates to like Icarus. We are following Mahmoud, who grows up as a sort of outcast and an ostracized baby boy, and I'm like a freak, and I'm not calling him a freak. It says so in the book. I'm just telling you what it says in the back of the book, okay? Okay. So he grows up as a fucking freak. He gets involved into the occult, and he's interested into any occult-ish books slowly but surely, and that takes a toll on all of his life. The narrative is so interesting and intriguing, like it keeps a reader intrigued. It's past, present, and future, and it keeps going back and forth, and I loved it. I did not see where the story was headed at all. Like, it kept me on my toes, and it kept me on the edge of my seat all throughout the book. I think it's written beautifully. I damn near annotated the entirety of the book because of how beautifully it was written. I loved it. If you made it this far into the video, please let me know of the highlight. Please let me know of the highlight of the year for you so far. For me so far, this is definitely one of them. I can't make a decision yet because I'm still reading, but so far, this is definitely one of the highlights of the year because I still think about it. So comment down below whatever has been your highlight for 2025 so far, and I'd love to check those out. That's it though. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it so far, I love you. And I'll see you next video.